Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 2020 Multicultural Dining Web Series. My name is Arnold Yescas, your host and owner of Underground Flavour Group. With Christmas just being a few days away, we decided to make this an awesome Christmas-themed episode. First, we stopped in India, and then we went to Costa Rica, Spain, China, and Austria, and now we head to the Caribbean to stop in Trinidad and Tobago with Chef Arielle Niels. Chef Arielle is the executive chef at Google Kitchener and is a master at the Caribbean cuisine. And today she's going to be whipping up a dish that is known as the Christmas dish in Trinidad and Tobago. So without further ado, let's hop in the kitchen and chat with Chef Arielle. Chef Arielle, welcome to the Marketplace Kitchen. It's great to have you here representing Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Now, you told me that this is the Christmas dish in Trinidad and Tobago. Did you want to elaborate that on a little bit?
Yes, so you can't have a Trinity Christmas without having something called pastels. I know that it's influenced from the Latin community in Trinidad like a long time ago. So in Venezuela, there's a dish called ayacas, and in Trinidad and some other English-speaking Caribbean islands, we call it pastels. It's a dumpling that's steamed in banana leaf. The outside is made with corn flour, and then the inside, world of possibilities. You can use ground beef, ground chicken, pork. You could put pulled pork. You could even do it for vegans, where I've done lentils before. But you'd have to use green lentils or beluga lentils, something that would hold up, because you have to cook the filling.
Okay. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to it.
So here we have some ground beef that we're using today, which is the most common one that people use in Trinidad. We like to season our meats with something called green seasoning. Anything you're cooking in Trinidad is going to be seasoned with green seasoning, and it is just a blend of onions, garlic, ginger, celery, and some other aromatics blended up with white vinegar and water. So we're going to put some of that in here. And we also like to use Angostura bitters, Trinidad Angostura bitters, in our meats. So just a couple dashes. And then I'm going to use my hands and just work that meat with the seasoning. If you marinate this overnight, it's always best. But for filming purposes today, we'll have it marinated for about 30 minutes, which is just fine.
What are some of the ingredients you're going to be cooking with today?
So today we're going to use some celery, some onions, some shallots, some green onions, Italian parsley. We call this Spanish thyme in Trinidad, but it's also known as Mexican oregano. And then we have fine thyme, These two things came out of my garden this morning. And some garlic, and then we have some sawtooth coriander that in Trinidad we call shadobeni or bandania.
Awesome. Did you maybe want to elaborate a little bit on sawtooth coriander for some of the viewers who maybe aren't so familiar with that ingredient?
Yeah, so in the Western world, they tend to call it the other cilantro. So it's kind of like cilantro, but I know that a lot of people don't like the flavor of cilantro, but this is not as strong. It has a little bit of a different flavor note, but it just adds like this nice, herbaceous, refreshing flavor to your dish.
Amazing. That sounds like incredible. What do you have in the ramekins right here?
And here, so typically with pastels, when you're making the meat, you don't put soy sauce. But this is my grandmother's recipe, and she puts just a little bit of black soy sauce for some color. And then the other one is annatto, which comes from the achiote tree. And the flavor note of this, I just had the seeds, and then I added some hot water and just let it sit, strain the seeds out. That is also for flavor and color, and it's very earthy, and most people use it because of the color that it adds to the meat. I know that it's used to color margarine and cheeses, cheddar cheese and stuff like that as well. You get a nice color out of it.
Amazing. Yeah. Awesome. All right, we'll get some vegetables.
Yes, I'm about to cut some of these vegetables up.
Perfect.
Now I'm just cutting some green onions. That's going to go into the meat just about when it's done, because we want to keep our herbs nice and bright green and fresh. So these are pimento stuffed olives. And typically I don't eat olives, but pastels aren't pastels to me unless they have some olives in them. So you just want to give your olives a rough chop, then turn it so that you don't cut your fingers off. Okay, so now I'm gonna cook the meat that goes into the pastels, and I got Chef Arielle cutting up some banana leaf for us to wrap them in after. So we're gonna start off with a little bit of canola or vegetable oil. And my pan is pretty hot already. So then you're gonna add your onions and shallots and garlic. And celery as well. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt to my onion shallot mixture. And then I'm gonna add in the ground beef. And I'll let that brown up. So I've added a little bit of salt into the onion mixture. That our beef is nice and brown. Gonna add just a tiny bit of soy sauce. And then the paste kind of settles to the bottom, so you're gonna have to mix up the achiote, the annatto. Pour that in. A little bit of black pepper. Some Worcestershire sauce. Hope you don't bite your tongue saying that. And a little bit of Maggi. A couple dashes is fine enough. And then in Trinidad, we always have a little flavor pot. So, tiny bit, don't want it too salty. That's it. Okay, so we're gonna make the dough for the pastels. In here, I have a mix of both of these corn flour. Corn flour, not cornmeal. So this is called promasa. You cannot find it in Canada, unfortunately. This is straight from Trinidad. And this donaripa I found at Latin America on Victoria Street. This is more fine grained than this one actually, but it works very well. I like mixing a bit of both so I could kind of preserve what I have from home a little bit and use something that I can find here. In this mixture, I have some salt, some sugar, and a little bit of a beef bouillon cube because we're using beef for the filling. I have some butter. I'm gonna add water to this butter, mix it until it's melted, and then add it to make the dough. So we have the corn flour that we mixed up earlier, and this is the water with the butter melted into it. If you're gonna make vegan pastels, you can use coconut oil. So we're just gonna add the liquid into the corn flour until a dough forms and mix it. So if you see it's starting to come together, we'll just keep adding some liquid, little bit by little bit. Keep mixing. We want a nice soft dough. And this water is pretty warm, so you can use a wooden spoon so that you don't burn your fingers. Just a little bit more. And in Trinidad for Christmas, these are made by the dozens, so it's a lot of hard work. But they're definitely worth it. So once your dough is combined, you just take a little bit in your hand, you squeeze it together, and then you make into a ball. We're gonna put them on this cutting board, and then you can keep it covered with a wet cloth or towel so that they stay nice and moist. See how nice and smooth that is? So this is our pastel dough ball, and then to make sure that it is the right consistency, you want to just kind of press it down a little bit like I've done this one. As long as you don't have too many hard cracks around the edges, then you know that your dough is a great consistency. Some people add a lot more liquid, so this is kind of, maybe goopy is not the best word, but what they technically do is they just take a spoon and kind of spread it onto the banana leaf so that they don't have to go through the work of making the balls, which is a really great technique if you have a lot to make. So here we have our banana leaf that Chef Arielle so graciously cut for us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to put some canola oil on this banana leaf. With banana leaf, you'll notice one side is very smooth and one side is ribbed. So we're going to use the smooth side because when we press the corn flour dough onto the leaf, if we did it on the side that's ribbed, then the dough itself would split. So we don't want that. We want a nice consistent dough. So that is the next step. So I will just brush it. And this is to ensure that it doesn't stick to the leaf. All right. So this is called a pastel press. I'm gonna put that piece of banana leaf there. I'm gonna put the other piece like so. I'm gonna take one of our dough, put it down. I like to smash them down a little bit. Put the other leaf on top. And then we simply lift and press. It helps a lot because it opens up the dough for you. And that's perfect. So here I have one of the dough balls that I pressed down. You don't necessarily need a pastel press. It just makes it easier if you have a lot to do. You could just make sure your hands or your gloves is oiled, banana leaf oiled, and then we're just going to press it down like that. Just takes a lot longer. This is what my grandmother used to make me do. But it was still fun, and I used to get paid for it at Christmas time. Yeah. Just press your palms together. And you want to use this part of your palm. And whatever size you want to press it out to is fine. And that's it. We're done. Okay, Chef Arielle, would you like to put some in the steamer for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. While I finish up this last few.
For sure. If they're going to steamer, so they don't need butcher's twine for that?
You don't need the twine once it's going in the steamer because there's one level that you could just put it on. It's not submerged into the water, so there's no way for the water to get inside.
Awesome. And how long does it generally take when you're steaming it?
20 minutes is perfect, especially for this size. If it's a little bigger, you could go 25, 30 minutes. Some people wrap their pastels in aluminum foil. Some people do banana leaf and then the foil. Back home, a lot of people have a banana tree. So you would pick the leaves and then you'd give them a wipe or wash, and then you'd pass it over the fire because it helps the banana leaf like fold better. It's not as hard. So that's kind of what we do in the islands.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And now, is there a specific way you want me to put it in there? Face down or any way at
So
all?
the seam side needs to be on the bottom
Okay,
so that it doesn't open up.
Perfect.
Just like that.
Awesome.
And our pastels are done steaming. You want to take a look at it. So now we're going to take them out and just set them on a nice platter. You will notice the banana leaf is not as bright green as it used to be. The reason why we're going to let this sit for a little bit is because if we were to open them right now, they will just kind of fall apart. So you just want to leave it, let it sit for about 5 minutes. It'll still be nice and warm. And then we'll open it up and we'll show you what it looks like when they're set up all nice.
So before we open these,
Yeah.
since banana leaf is one of my favorite things to actually cook with, would you be able to kind of explain some of the flavor profiles that banana leaf can add to the pastel or any other dish that it's utilized in?
Yeah. So banana leaves can take a very heavy cook. You can wrap it with meat and put it on the grill. It'll always hold up. I prefer to use banana leaf over something like aluminum foil. And banana leaves adds like a nice earthiness and a lot of aromatics to your dish, whatever you're making. It always smells good once it's wrapped and cooked in banana leaf.
Definitely, you can definitely smell it as soon as you take it out of the pot. You can get
Yes.
that big with
It just
the
hits you,
aromatics
right? Yeah,
right away.
exactly. It's very island style. I like it.
Amazing, I love it.
So now we're gonna open up our beautiful little packages. And there we go. And then you're gonna take it, turn it over. And this is the side that you're gonna present your pastel on. That is what it looks like. Perfect little flavorful package.
Is this a dish you make like for special holidays? Because they seem like a lot of work.
Yeah. It's
Versus-
definitely like just something that we make at Christmas time.
Oh, okay.
But these are regular sizes that you usually make too?
So yeah, it can be a little bit bigger.
Oh, that's cute to know to me.
Well, Chef Arielle, thank you so much for coming today. The food looks fantastic. I wish everybody could smell it because the aromatics in this building are through the roof right now. And it's such a pleasure to have you here, representing Trinidad. And with Christmas coming around the corner, it can give everybody a little bit of inspiration to go a different route rather than turkey, right?
Yes.
So, of course, you can be found through the Underground Flavour Group, but is there any other platform that the viewers can find you if they're interested?
So I always post a lot of Instagram stories, especially when I'm cooking Trinidadian food and other food. So you can find me on Instagram at Arielle, ARIELLEN23.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Arielle. I can't wait to indulge in this.
Thank
We're about
you
to
for having me.
put some work in, so thanks again.
Yes.
And
thank
have a
you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays.